It's the AC/DC Beyond the Thunder podcast. With your host, Kurt Squires. It's time to rock.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kurt Squires, and thanks for listening to our latest edition of AC/DC Beyond the Thunder, a podcast where my partner in crime, Greg Ferguson, and I talk to those extraordinary fans who've been influenced by this extraordinary band that goes by just 4 letters, AC and DC. And this episode is 2 times as interesting because we're talking with 2 cellos, Luka Sulic and Stjepan Hauser, the dynamic instrumental duo who've combined their classical training and the likes of Bach and Vivaldi while infusing the full force power and antics of AC/DC. You might remember 2 Cellos' first rise to fame back in 2011 when their version of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal took the world by storm on YouTube, which landed them a record deal and an invitation to join Sir Elton John on his worldwide tour. Elton actually said he couldn't remember seeing anything as exciting as 2 Cellos since witnessing Jimi Hendrix live back in the 60s. Not a shabby endorsement from the Rocket Man. But then their follow-up video release for AC/DC's Thunderstruck went even more viral, racking up over 150 million views to date on YouTube. And ever since, 2 Cellos have incorporated their love for AC/DC into the very blueprint of their live performances, which, by the way, have taken them from the Royal Albert Hall, Radio City Music Hall, Madison Square Garden, Greek theater, Red Rocks, Japan, Europe, Australia, and beyond. The Thunder. We actually caught up with 2 Cellos backstage at a beautiful outdoor amphitheater right before they took the stage to a sold-out crowd. Luka, Stjepan, thank you so much for being a part of AC/DC Beyond the Thunder. Tell us what it was like growing up in, was it Croatia and Slovenia?
Both.
Croatia.
It's Croatia. I was growing up in Slovenia.
Croatia.
Yes.
Slovenia.
Croatia.
So what was it like growing up in that area?
You know, we grew up surrounded by classical music since we were children. We both come from musical families, so we dedicated all our youth to music. That's how it was. Pathetic.
No, but it was beautiful. It was such a beautiful surrounding, you know. The seaside that we have, the food, everything is amazing in Croatia.
Now that you're world travelers, are you able to see your native countries in a different light? Describe the cultures a little bit.
People, I think they're not as open as here, I think. They're weird, Croatian people. They're not happy. If you make it, they're not happy for you. They're not proud of you. It's weird. It's like very strange mentality, you know.
That's not true. I think mostly they are happy, but
Yeah, actually, they are happy.
they're also. But the more famous you are, more haters you have. It's normal in life.
I think it's safe to say that it's like that almost everywhere you go, especially here in the States. So don't take that too much to heart.
Yeah, I think it's the mentality of the
Humanity. It's very human thing to do.
Yes.
Both of you started playing the cello since a very early age. Luka, you graduated from the acclaimed Royal Academy of Music in London, and Stjepan from the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester, both in 2011. You're completely surrounded by classical music, but then you begin to introduce rock into your musical landscape and leaning heavily into our favorite band, AC/DC. Tell us how that came about.
First time I heard it was on YouTube, you know, I was checking
Last week?
out. Yeah, no. When we started this project, it was all around the same time we started arranging different songs, you know, from Michael Jackson to Nirvana to U2. And then we bumped into AC/DC as well. And we thought, you know, some of their songs, they could work really well live. So we first started playing Highway to Hell, You Shook Me All Night Long, Back in Black. And then later on we did a Thunderstruck arrangement, which is probably our most famous, most watched video on YouTube.
Let's talk about that Thunderstruck video. Whose idea was it to not only cover that particular song, but to shoot it the way that you did, which was absolutely brilliant?
Thunderstruck is, such an amazing song.
The riff,
Probably the most famous rock song of all time. And it sounds great on the cello. So we thought, what could we do interesting? And this riff reminded me, like, we could do something like in style of Baroque, Vivaldi or Bach, because it's combine and so make rock and Baroque era Baroque. And so we also came up with the idea for the video to dress up like in Baroque era, like this movie Back to the Future. Like we came from this time to show rock and roll to people of Baroque era. So this was the concept.
yeah. And that really took us on another level.
I love it. Marty McFly meets Malcolm Young. You've mentioned taking on other band songs. You've tackled everyone from U2, Guns N' Roses, Nine Inch Nails, Sting, Coldplay, Muse. But it seems as though your AC/DC covers get the most attention and are your main source of inspiration. How does their music inspire you? How does it make you feel?
It makes you wanna rock as hard as you can. It makes you wanna jump, run. It's so simple, so minimalistic, but so powerful. It's really something special.
The riffs are so simple yet so genuinely, rock and roll. So powerful, so simple. Yet they go straight into your heart and, make you go crazy.
It's hard rock at its best.
I really like that. I like that. Throughout our journey, we've been told that AC/DC's music is so simple that it's actually hard to replicate. It's hard to copy them. Why is that?
Because it's their thing. It's like they came up with it, they stuck with it for all their lives. And it's amazing how they never changed the recipe.
Right.
And it's actually, you are always, overwhelmed how every time you are surprised that they didn't change recipe and you are always equally excited. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, well said. Yeah, exactly.
They are who they are. They don't pretend to be anything else.
And no bullshit.
And no bullshit.
Just
We know exactly what you mean. Actually, I once wrote a cover story on David Lee Roth for Classic Rock magazine in the UK, and I think David said something to the effect of, AC/DC has been playing the same song, album by album, for 30 years, but we dig the song. And it's a classic backhanded compliment from David Lee Roth, but nonetheless very quotable and probably very true. And what does a band like AC/DC mean to Croatia? Is the band perceived any differently in that area of the world?
well, they mean the same what they mean to the rest of the world.
Legends.
Yeah.
So they're universal no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Even Mars.
Coming from a very different part of the world, it's great to get your perspective on this. What is AC/DC's appeal? What is it about this band that so many people connect with?
Because it's all about all the things people love. Fast cars, girls, rock and roll,
Drugs.
beer. When you hear
Sex.
their music, you wanna drive fast, you wanna drink beer, you wanna party, you wanna
Yeah.
have a girl.
You want to have fun.
Yeah.
Basic instincts.
It's the power of rock and roll, Also, they come from the era, when rock and roll was really taking over the world. It was a revolution,
Right.
So, and all these bands, from that era, look at the Stones, look at them, they are still going strong,
Still doing it.
still doing it. It's really
But
amazing.
after I listen to AC/DC, when I see them perform, when I watch their videos, after this I cannot watch any other band. No one rocks hard enough after them. That's the thing about them.
I like that. And you've compared classical music to AC/DC, actually. So Bach, Vivaldi, and Angus Young. What's the common thread there?
Well, Bach, Vivaldi, Mozart, they were rock stars of their own time. And AC/DC is now, so
what we tried to do was break the boundaries between classical and rock by combining, you know, like Thunderstruck song with Baroque and element. So Baroque was born.
You mean back in Baroque?
They're the only band who takes half of our set list. I mean, we play most of the songs on the show by them, actually.
Not most.
Not now most. From the
In the rock part of the show.
I've seen your show live, and I have to say, it's truly entertaining. The first half being these beautiful medleys of themes from Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, Gladiator, Titanic, Godfather, and one of my favorite scores from Rain Man, all Oscar-winning composers and backed by this full orchestra with the two of you in the center playing your cellos. But then halfway through, you flick the switch and it becomes a full-on rock show. What is the advantage of having those classical roots as a musician? And in fact, what is the advantage of combining these two genres of music for your audience?
You know, the good thing about us is that we have everything. We have our roots, our classical music, film music, you know, we love everything. But then at the end of the show, you know, that's where power of rock and roll comes. And you cannot end a show in a better way than with rock and roll.
It's great to have all the. I mean, our show is this variety. What is great to see, and audience. There are so many different people. You see older people. You see young girls. You see classical fans, rock fans. It's all. We introduce rock music to classical people. We introduce classical music to rock people. So it's interesting.
When you two are playing your cellos and you plug in, how do you rock out like Angus Young? Do you have distortion pedals? Do you have thicker strings? How do you get to that level and channel that energy?
You know, cello with distortion sounds really powerful. Maybe even more powerful than a guitar, electric guitar. And we use different effects, guitar pedals, distortion, delay, reverbs, and other stuff. EQs. So no one was doing this on cello before. So we are sort of making a revolution on our own.
And Angus Young was such a huge influence on me because I do so many things now. I roll on the floor, I run around, I do the duck walk, go into the audience, go crazy.
Wait a minute, how do you do a duck walk with a cello in your hand?
He has a cello carrier. So we have one cello.
It's wireless also.
In the rock part, he has a wireless cello which he can take around.
And I also use horns.
I saw the devil horns, which was great. You definitely transform into Angus Young himself, and I almost feel like I've been transported back to the 1700s. We probably already know the answer to this, but have you had any feedback from the band on your interpretation of these great covers?
Well, they shared our Thunderstruck on their Facebook.
Official Facebook.
That's the only feedback we got.
That's pretty good.
That's
amazing.
But we waited so long for them to share our Thunderstruck version. It happened like after...
Everyone shared it. Everyone, every other artist and band.
That we covered, like even Jimi Hendrix official page, they shared our Purple Haze, or Nirvana official page,
Wow.
Coldplay, Guns N' Roses, they all shared our versions of their song. And AC/DC was the last.
Iron Maiden.
Of course. We were talking about distortion and the amazing sound that you get out of your cellos. The distortion you get on your cover of Highway to Hell, featuring Steve Vai, was tremendous, which you also filmed a video for with Steve Vai. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Highway to Hell is one of the staples in our live show repertoire. And on our second album we had many guests, and Steve Vai, we want to have Steve Vai play on a track, and we said Highway to Hell, and we do like a battle, you know, who can rock more, guitar or cello, in a video. We actually filmed it in New Jersey in Guitar Center, the music video. That was a lot of fun.
And who better to have a battle axe with than Steve Vai, the devil himself from that great film, Crossroads. The attention you guys have garnered over the years is astounding. You've appeared on The Today Show, The Bachelor, CNN, Ellen, The Tonight Show, and you've played with Queens of the Stone Age, with famed producers T-Bone Burnett, and performed twice for Prince Charles in Buckingham and St. James's Palace. And then to see you rocking out in Australia to Back in Black with the Sydney Orchestra. It's just amazing.
And we also played Back in Black with Chad Smith
From the Chili Peppers?
from
Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. We opened for them in one of the shows, and we were rocking some AC/DC stuff, and he was listening in the back. And after we came down, we wanted to go back for the encore. He said, "Guys, can I play with you?" And he said, "You want to play Back in Black with us?" He said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And we played Back in Black with him.
That's
It was
so
really
cool.
crazy. He broke the drums, everything.
Wait, he broke your drums?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was the last song of the set, so.
yeah.
You see, everyone goes crazy when you play AC/DC. You cannot control yourself.
Going back to Sydney, AC/DC's hometown, tell us a little bit about playing with the symphony orchestra.
In Sydney, we played all this rock stuff with symphony orchestra for the first time. We also did Shook Me All Night Long, Highway to Hell, Back in Black. So we did more AC/DC. In Sydney, which Australia is like,
It's like the Grand Central of AC/DC.
When we play AC/DC down under, everyone goes crazy. Mental.
So what's the most rock star thing you've ever done with the cello?
all this that I mentioned before, Duck Walk going into the audience. We even have this, you watch this video, how do they call it when they, Catenos,
Crowd surfing.
crowd surfing with the cello.
Nice.
And mosh pit. If you watch Rock am Ring in Germany, we had a concert. It was a huge mosh pit on the cello concert, man. That's a revolution.
That's phenomenal.
What's your favorite song?
Actually, it's a little unexpected, but it's Night Prowler. Have you heard of that one?
That's not famous. What album is that from?
It's the last song off Highway to Hell, and it's Bond's final recording. I don't know, it's bluesy, it's slow, but it rocks, it's eerie, it's cool. I could listen to it a million times, and honestly, you probably have.
So are you like Bon Scott or Brian Johnson?
Equally both, right down the middle. They're both that lightning bolt in the middle of the logo to me, and both great characters and distinctive tones. I love both of those guys. Is there an AC/DC song that you haven't covered yet that will really challenge you?
Yeah, we are planning. Well, it's our dream to do Let There Be Rock, but we cannot do it without a singer. So we are looking for a great rock singer.
Maybe Steven Tyler.
Yeah,
That'd
awesome.
be a great version.
So this is one more song that we really want to do it on cello. Like
Let
this
There
one
Be
will,
Rock.
this will be rock the hardest.
With Steven Tyler would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, your performance of Dream On with Steven Tyler, which we haven't mentioned before, live at the Roman Coliseum, was extremely amazing. It was like this moving experience. And then right into Walk This Way. How cool is that? Who came up with pairing you guys together?
Oh, I mean, we were all guests on Andreas Bocelli's big evening celebrity fight night in Colosseum in Rome. It is a charity event, so there were all these great people coming, Elton John, Steven Tyler, Bocelli. We were invited, and then someone came up with the idea that we are all together there, we should do something together with Steven Tyler. So Walk This Way was its famous riff, so it rocks on cello. And we also played Dream On unexpectedly. We were there and we just played along. And he's also a big fan of AC/DC.
Yes.
He inducted them to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes, which was an amazing speech.
Yeah, amazing speech.
I love that speech.
And he sang with them, Shook Me All Night Long.
Tyler did sing with AC/DC, which never happens. They never play with any other musicians on stage. But I think Aerosmith took AC/DC under their wing back in the day, so Malcolm probably approved of that rare moment, although not really appreciated by some. Okay, we're being told we only have a minute or so before you have to get ready for your big show tonight. Luka, Stjepan, thanks so much for sharing your stories and being a part of AC/DC Beyond the Thunder with us today. It was really, really fun. So we end our show, like all shows, with one of the most important questions in the universe. If you had to describe AC/DC in one word, what would it be?
Rock. Tight.
AC/DC Beyond the Thunder theme song, Trailer Trash, written and performed by Gannon Arnold. VO talent by Bruce Jacobson. Cinematography and sound recording by Greg Ferguson. Edited and mixed by Eric Keel. Brand ambassador and marketing guru Gino Bona. Written, directed, and hosted by Kurt Squires. Produced by Gino Bona, Greg Ferguson, Eric Keel, and Kurt Squires. Special thanks to Josh Stjepan and Gage Squires. AC/DC Beyond the Thunder is a Squires LLC current motion production. Copyright Beyond the Thunder podcast, all rights reserved. This has been a Nat Attack presentation. Shazbot. Nanu Nanu.